Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. It's Friday, the 6th of June. Eileen Delrossi has my co-host.
Eileen Delrossi.
Here she is again. And there she went. What the heck? A missed call. Let me call her back.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 97.
Well, we'll wait for her to call us back. It's warm and muggy out there, but I've been promised rain by the weather guessers on TV. So that's that for the weekend. It even made a headline in the Boston Globe about our unfortunate weather. So today in 1844, the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA, was founded in London. And 1889, something I'd never heard of, the Great Seattle Fire destroyed downtown Seattle. Sort of like Chaz did 5 years ago. Oh well. 1933, the first drive-in theater opens in Camden, New Jersey. In the back of my mind, that drive-in theater was near what was then Airport Circle, near the airport in Camden. 1942, U.S. Navy victory over the Imperial Japanese Navy at the Battle of Midway, major turning point. All 4 Japanese fleet carriers take
Eileen Delrossi.
Eileen.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Say hello to the crowd.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It's been a week.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Yeah. So the 4 carriers, the Kagi, the Kaga, the Soryu, and the Haryu, were sunk, and along with a heavy cruiser, the American carrier Yorktown and the destroyer Hammond were also sunk. Also in 1944, Operation Overlord, the Allied invasion of Normandy, began with the execution of Operation Neptune, which was the naval operation to get the troops ashore. Largest seaborne invasion in history, nearly 160,000 Allied troops crossed the channel, with about 5,000 landing and assault craft, 289 escort vehicles, and 277 minesweepers. So the Allies landed on 5 invasion beaches and pushed inward. And I hadn't recollected this, but in 1968, this is the day Robert F. Kennedy passed away. He was assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan.
Wait, Robert F. Kennedy, is that the Robert Kennedy's father? That's the, it works for Trump now?
Yes. Robert F. Kennedy, he had been the 64th Attorney General of the United States and an important consultant for his brother, John F. Kennedy.
I remember hearing that. Wait, but was he killed also?
Yeah, Robert Kennedy was in a hotel in Los Angeles, and somebody came up and shot him. He was running for president.
Sirhan, wasn't it?
Sirhan.
Okay, and you got the, remember Dennis the Menace?
Yes.
You have the Dennis the Menace look this morning.
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
The what?
I'm showing my concern. The hair is sticking up in the back of my head.
That's why we need hair and makeup for the
Yeah.
City Life show.
I'll ask Trump for a budget.
Sounds good. I think you said at one point, like, did you apply for a grant or something, John?
Yeah, there was talk. We put the camera on me. Cliff can fix his hair, if he wants to.
If he can.
There was talk amongst the public access stations that we should go all digital, and so this software we use, Wirecast, puts everything out HD. So it takes my old cameras and converts it to HD. Now, if I wanted to spend a few grand and bought new cameras, you'd just be able to see my nose hairs better. That's the only thing that would change. It'd still be the wide picture, without anybody looking fat. And that was what we were going to change to. And then the public access people were happy with this, the signal that we send them, the width and the sound. So we still got the old cameras. Back over to Dennis the Menace, Cliff.
By the way, were you able to talk to anybody at LTC about how much funding they get from the federal government?
No, because during our conversation, Cliff, I thought we agreed they don't get any money from the feds. But I will double check.
Okay.
Because I was once on the finance committee board for LTC, and no federal funds were ever talked about. They just talked about Comcast Doe and the city's. All the money from Comcast goes to the city, and the city of Lowell, and the city of Lowell then writes a check to, transfers the money, bit by bit by bit to LTC.
But I've noticed in the news a lot of whinging from NPR stations about cuts in federal funding.
Yes, well, C-SPAN's also feeling the ache because they're always afraid that PBS is government funds big time, and they'll swear, oh no, most of our money comes from our our audience. Okay, if you want me to believe that. But I think the way that PBS has almost ads on all of their programming, this program is brought to you by Procter & Gamble. You know, where you can get your best Rice Krispies. And they go on and on and on about General Motors or Ford Motor Company or Toyota. I take that as an ad. Oh no, that's promotional material. It's not promotional, it's educational. So that's,
Yeah.
they've been, I think, breaking the rules for a long time. And nobody calls them on it.
Yeah.
And when they do, they'll say, we've been doing it for 20 years.
So Eileen, did the high school students graduate?
They all did, yes. That's also why I say it's been a week. Like Wednesday was the high school graduation. It went very good. And at one point I asked to give some diplomas to former students of mine, which the mayor wanted, like maybe wanted a break or whatever. But I wasn't doing it right or quick enough, so he's like, Delrossi, you're done. I was like, okay, sorry. I wasn't doing it like I wasn't shaking the hands or whatever. It's obviously overwhelming being in front of that many people, but like I was giving them to my students that I had in fifth and sixth grade at the STEM Academy. Yeah, so it was a great night. It was good. It was a long night, and I overslept yesterday morning, but it was a good time.
Does this mean that when I go back to home, the yellow peril will not be on the road? The school
Is that
buses?
English? What does that mean? A yellow what?
Peril. Peril?
Nobody knows what it is, Cliff.
Actually, that's not true.
Nobody knows.
What is,
I can go up front with a microphone right now and stop every car and ask them what this word is, and they won't know. Okay, you know what? Here's a test. Out there in TV land, if you know what that word means, and I'm going to ask Cliff to repeat it, text it. Will you text it into us? If you don't look it up, we can all look it up. But do you know what what's the word, Cliff?
Yellow peril.
No, we know what yellow is.
What?
We know what yellow is. What's the second word?
Peril.
Peril. Okay, tell us what peril is. And we'll wait 5 minutes. Please continue.
Well, I hope there's some swabby out there that'll text into you. So, have you been paying attention to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Eileen?
Last week, sorry, hold on. Last week I was paying attention to him because I saw those Senate hearings, but I haven't really paid attention to him this week.
He seems to be overperforming. Following Sunday's horrific attack out in Boulder, Colorado, he said all terrorists, their family members, and terrorist sympathizers here on a visa should know that under the Trump administration we will find you, revoke your visa, and deport you. God, he sounds like Kristi Noem.
Find you, revoke your visa, and what else?
Deport you.
What happened with the Marcello, the boy from Milton or Milford, Massachusetts, that they took in hopes of getting their dad, his dad? Do you remember did anything happen to his dad?
Yeah, the judge put him out on bond.
That's good. Like, that just upset a whole people. It's just tough when you take it out on the kids. Like, I know this administration wants to prove a point, but when you do this to a child, like, who really has no dog in the game.
So, let me ask you this. You arrest the father.
Cliff, can you take the microphone, bend it down, and put it a little closer to you?
So, you arrest the father for some criminal activity plus being in the country illegally. You deport the father. You deport the mother who's in the country illegally. You leave the kids here?
No, they go with the parents. And
Eileen?
the grandkid too, and the great-grandkids.
I mean, that
It's a state trouble.
Sorry, hold on.
As a program that returns.
That all around is just a complicated thing to answer, right? Because regardless, the children are acclimated to this world. This is their life. This is what they know. This is what they've always known. Maybe they didn't know that their parents came here illegally, but now you're taking a child and putting him in a prison, maybe because of a reason he doesn't even know or because of his parents' actions.
Are you putting him in
I think you're both missing the point.
prison or a detention center? But John thinks he has the point. Go ahead, John.
If I walk over to, I get a couple of spray bottles of kerosene, and I'm going to squirt everyone walking into your favorite supermarket because I don't like that supermarket. So I'm going to spray everybody down with kerosene and then light them on fire. And I'm an illegal alien. I don't belong here. I jumped the fence, or I got off a plane, or however I got here illegally. And I've also created a family. I brought my family from the old country too. There should be sufferable consequences for me and my family for lighting people on fire just because I didn't like them. Should be, and the consequences should be known before I go out and buy that spray bottle and start spraying people with kerosene. The consequences should be known to me. And to make a example out of this guy who took a flammable liquid, I'm going to guess it was kerosene, I don't know, sprayed on people, lit an 88-year-old lady on fire. Yeah, you got to go, buddy. Your wife, your kids, your grandkids, goodbye. You're out of here. You shouldn't have done that. That's my take. What do you think we should do to them, Cliff? Give them a new home, an EBT card, and a Mercedes-Benz.
I'm in favor of deporting them, but I take Eileen's point, it'll be disruptive for the children.
Well, the father shouldn't have done it.
I agree.
The father should know that, look, go ahead, head out to that drugstore or supermarket. Light all those people on fire, honey. I'll be packing our bags because they're going to kick us out of the country. Your wife and your children are not going to let you pull that act off. They're going to prevent you from doing it. Hey, where's Dad? Oh, he's down buying kerosene. Oh, no, he's not.
Eileen, your position?
I work with kids, like, on the daily. I have a child, like, I just know kids don't know what their parents have done to make their life livable or decent. And no, I just don't think any child should be taken out of their consistency or routine, because this is the future of America. Like, and it takes a village to raise a child, and it's so true, you know, and it's a tough one, but we don't have those standards in America.
So, when we deport the husband, the father, and we deport the mother, the wife, who takes care of the kids?
You have a code?
Yes, I do. Actually, Cliff, who takes care of the kids? It falls on the school system.
What?
And that's what you're talking about, right? And that the ranch hands and so forth.
Okay, Eileen, wait a second now. Do you think your students want to go live with you?
Yeah, yes, they've said it.
Well, then why don't you call DSS and get the kids?
Just because they say something is not really probable, like, reasons, but, like, obviously you get to know your students after a while. Like, they'll tell me sometimes, they'll tell me I'm a lot like their mom or whatever, and like how they think it would be fun to come and live with me. And I was like, oh no.
Well, it's a serious problem that Congress ought to face up to as they reform the immigration law. That the children, I agree, the children are innocent of the sins of the parents, but what is best for the children? To send them back to the country of origin with their criminal father, or who actually we're probably not going to deport, we're probably going to put in prison for 20 or 30 years.
Well,
You go? Thank you.
well, Cliff, I think you kind of highlighted the problem when we talk about immigration and so forth, is that this is, like, these kids are getting in trouble for their parents' actions or detained and don't understand it, right? Or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But how can it be? All right, with the exception of that whole thing in Texas with Carmelo Anthony, where, like, that was his own actions that he committed, right? He did those things. You should be sentenced for your own actions that have consequenced and taken a life, right? Yes. But at the end of the day, a child, right? A child who's 18 or under, even older, should not have to pay for the sins of their parents or whatever they've done. So if the child is best with the family, yes, let the child go. But if the child has assimilated here and this is the only life that they know, it gets really difficult, because now as a parent, you have not only just had sins against society, but now your own child is suffering because of your own sins.
Okay, I got a bunch
And-
of texts I'm going to read to you, Eileen. First one, what is she talking about? She's really out of touch. Second, give me a break. He's an adult. If he's here legally, if he's here illegally, then he has to go. How many of these people are on the streets of Lowell? Danger, he's 18 years old, and here illegally. Back over to you, Eileen.
I work in the school system. I see this. These kids don't get it. Like, they just know, they wake up in the morning, they come to school, and they're trying to figure out what's best and how to assimilate. So I don't think I'm out of touch. I think I live in the day-to-day, and I see it. And it's very disturbing,
Okay, well,
what we see. These kids are great kids. They
Ask
don't
him-
know what they've been through or what's happened in their life to bring them here.
I could ask my kids, would they rather be left here or come back to Ireland with me? And you can ask your Anthony, would you rather go back to Italy with me or stay here? I'm going to read this text to you. The media didn't have a problem when they came here by the thousands. Now that they are deporting them, it's a constitutional crisis. Back to Cliff.
Interesting, sort of going astray here. I just finished reading Jake Tapper's book, Original Sin, about Joe Biden's last 4 years in the White House. And in there, he's got a little passage in which he points out that Joe Biden came in with the intention of closing the border. And somehow that all went away because Joe wasn't able to focus his attention on the issue and got talked out of it. I thought that was sad and interesting and unfortunate for the country. So we were originally talking about Marco Rubio, who's probably, we haven't seen anyone like this going back until Condi Rice. So the question is, do you think he's going to give J.D. Vance a run for his money in 2028? What do you think, Eileen? Is Marco Rubio a presidential timber?
Today. Is Marco Rubio a what?
Is he presidential timber? You think he could be president?
No, Marco Rubio, no, I think he does better because he knows he has the support. But from all that I know of Marco Rubio, I don't think he could stand up and be who Donald Trump is being and giving all of the support, honestly.
Okay. So, what do we know
What do
about...
you think, Cliff? What do you think?
I think there'll be a contest in 2028.
Okay. Yeah, maybe this will give him confidence overall.
Yeah. So what's up with Karen Reed and Turtle Boy and all that?
Oh. Well, they had the day off yesterday because it was too hot and the judge needed to get to the Cape. But today it's back on. They've had some awesome witnesses. The defense started putting their trial on this week. They had one of John O'Keefe's good friends who really likes Karen, and they still remain friends, and talked about how truly loving they were the night at the bar. More footage. The defense team really drilled the footage of the Waterfall Bar where Higgins and was gesturing to John O'Keefe to come and wave, but the judge didn't want to let any of that in. Here's the thing, the stakes are so high in this situation because of the corruption in Massachusetts that the judge and the special prosecutor have to keep all of this information out. So some of the defense's motions have just been denied. And people have done studies on how many times she grants objections to the defense and then to the prosecution for the state of Mass. And it's so unequitable. But there's a reason they're doing this. Because this corruption it goes to the Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, it goes to Maura Healey, it goes to Ron Mariano, the Speaker of the House. And it's bad. And yeah, so so a lot of corruption still this week, a lot of more videos that were shown this week of the waterfall right before everything went down. And I got a new theory in the situation as well, because last weekend we laid low because Anthony wasn't feeling so good. So I went through some old testimony and some new testimony. And I believe what happened now is that Sarah Levinson said that Brian Albert and Brian Higgins both came to the house first, right? And then everybody else came 5 minutes later. So the idea was that when I first even started learning about all of this, it was that Brian Albert drove home with his wife and his daughter. But her testimony in the first and the second trial, Sarah Levinson, states that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert came home first, which means they were probably in that white Jeep together. What if Brian Albert let him into the garage, right? And then John O'Keefe, when he went in, he was obviously drinking a lot, walked into that third door that they just pointed out on the defense, went into the garage, and that's where everything went down.
Well, let's go back to the OJ trial. OJ's wife, whatever, drop dead gorgeous woman, I forget what her name was, Nicole Smith, I think it was?
Simpson.
Nicole Simpson. No one killed her. Did you know that? Nobody killed her. So this poor cop in Boston, this Boston cop who was not living in Boston, I don't think that's legal, but at any rate, this cop that died was killed. Nobody killed him. Who killed this guy? This guy deserves a wonderful investigation to find out who took his life, or what person or group of people or animals took his life. And
So, John, just so you know, one of the defense's motions that were denied this week was to have a retired police officer, maybe a federal investigator from California, Michael Easter, come in and explain how a proper investigation would go. And because the Mass State Police said that they did this investigation with honor and integrity,
No, they
so the
don't.
defense wanted to kind of prove that this was not done with honor and integrity. But the judge denied that motion for reconsideration to have that police official come in from California.
well, as most people know, this Karen Reed has already gone through a a secret trial in the federal court, and it went nowhere. So maybe the federal court will take this over and give this guy the justice that he deserves. Somebody killed this man. Somebody killed this cop. If you kill a cop in Massachusetts, I'm sorry, we're going to get you. But it's not in this case. Why not? They killed a cop. I know he was off duty, but they killed a cop in Massachusetts. Somebody's got to pay for that. That's just what I think. Okay, going to do this text real quick, then we'll go back to Cliff. So keep illegal parents here because they have children. That's from DW. And then another text, the real Joe Biden or the people propping him up? That was a question. Back over to you, Cliff.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. I got to write up my thoughts on the book, and I'll let you know. So, Sandra Birchmore was in the news also.
Yes, this week, because I think, was it for Matt Farwell or Robert Devine? Because they passed her around through the Stoughton Police Department and groomed her as a young girl. But Howie Carr actually wrote about this. They needed a closed hearing instead of an open hearing, so the public didn't see. So, and he was making the relationship of, the attorney for those police officers are somehow connected to Steve Flemmi and Whitey Bulger.
Hey, I got this comment from the audience. The judge in the Reed case has destroyed the credibility of the Massachusetts legal system. She's the laughingstock of lawyers around the country. Back to you, Eileen.
Yeah, I mean, this case, I pray and I hope that she gets completely acquitted. And I think the defense has done a much better job this time than last time in trying to prove that with video and everything. But it just speaks to the corruption in this state. Like, it goes so far. It's related to Diana DeZoglio not being able to have the audit of the legislature. People don't want that to happen. Important people don't want it to happen. And why? Right? There's a reason why. There's a lot of corruption.
Well, once one of these characters gets arrested, they're going to squeal. You think I was bad? Let me tell you about Cliff Krieger. Now, Cliff knows I don't want to get thrown on the skillet. So they throw Cliff on the skillet, and he'll say, what about that Jim Peters guy? Jim Peters did this. Then Jimbo Peters, he gets put on the skillet. And who's he going to squeal about? Because they all make these, okay, I'll tell you what, you won't go to jail for 45 years if you squeal. And people squeal. And they don't want, the elected officials, the bureaucrats, don't want that to happen in Massachusetts. There's a lot of corruption in Massachusetts.
Right, and the FBI did get involved with the Sandra Birchmore case, and they ended up arresting Matthew Farwell last summer, and now he's in jail, and I think he's squealing like a little pig because they can do that. They have the power. Like, do you want to go into general population? We'll put you in general population if you don't tell us the truth about this and this. So I think because of his arrest by the FBI, he's starting to talk. And a lot of these same players are all involved between the Sandra Birchmore case and the Karen Reed case.
Ah.
Well, I got this little comment here. I'll blow it up so you can see it at home, and I'll read it to you. They don't want an audit because it will expose who got rich off the migrant crisis here in Massachusetts. Thank you for your comment. Back to you, Cliff.
Wait, what did the comment say, John?
They don't want the audit because it would reveal who got rich over the migrant crisis.
Well, exactly. Like, look at COVID and the masks and Nancy Pelosi. Like, all of those people got rich because of this pandemic that shut down America. because they had stocks in certain places. And yes, the people did get rich off the migrant situation. Like, where did all that money go? Not in my pocket, not in your pocket, not in the school department in the city of Lowell.
Yeah.
Next text says, Rep. Gary thought it was political, the audit. What's wrong with accountability in government? Interesting comment. Back to you, Cliff.
It's interesting that it's political, but it's Democrats on Democrats.
Cliff,
John,
I gave your brother a job. I gave your mother a job. I gave your kid a job. Want me to expose this? Keep your mouth shut, or I'm going to tattle. I see you buttoned your lip, didn't you?
well,
That's how it works in Massachusetts. I mean, when you hang around with elected officials, and they'll say, he owes me. You know, I gave his sister a job. I gave his sister, and his sister's kid was arrested for drunk driving 3 times. We had to pick him up and bring him to the interview. Couldn't drive a car because he's a drunk driver that bad. So she owes me. He got the job because of me. That's how Massachusetts works.
that's a sad fact. Hang on to that thought for when we talk about how kids get into the VOTEC in the future.
Well, if Freddie Bahu comes, I think the vote right now is very good about, you got to make the grade. There's little or no political influence out to the vote. I'd say there's a little political influence, not much.
You're right. So, RDT is out as the chief executive at Market Basket, we all know, at least on a temporary basis. But he holds an important role. He's got a minority of the shares, something like 24%, but under the rules, he can block a sale of Market Basket. So we'll have to see how all that goes at Market Basket. They're still selling food. Okay.
Well, Cliff, on Artie DeMoss, do you think that the customers of Market Basket have the loyalty to Arthur DeMoss that they had 10 years ago?
I would think so.
Okay. All he's got to do is walk out in front of the store on Route 38 and point to Hannaford. That's all he's got to do.
Yep. That would be that'd be a pretty bold move. He may be trying to negotiate something less.
Well, to me, it's a gigantic family feud, and nobody on the outside really knows what's going on.
True.
And so I'm guessing, you're guessing, everybody who's talking about this is guessing. It's a family feud.
Okay. So, KJP, Kareem Jean-Pierre, the Biden administration
Hey,
spokesperson.
Cliff, would you define peril now? Because no one called in. No one in the audience knows what peril is. So would you tell the audience?
Peril is when you're at risk. You're in peril of dying.
So what's yellow peril? You said yellow peril.
Yes.
So
I
how-
meant it in terms of.
Oh, you meant it in a different way. Oh.
Are you going to let me finish, or are you just going to?
No, I'm just making an example of how you swing things around that are very confusing because you're always the smartest person in the room. What's yellow peril, please?
I was making an allusion to the school buses, but yellow peril really is age aboard aircraft carriers. You know what age is?
Yeah, I have it. You have it.
No, it's the equipment on the deck of the carrier, hydraulic pumps and other ground equipment for taking care of the airplanes. And it's all over the deck of the carrier, and it represents a danger if it's not chalked or properly chalked, that is, putting a piece of wood under the tire so that it won't roll. If it's not chalked properly, it'll roll on you, could hurt you, could roll into an aircraft and damage it.
So some people call it yellow peril.
Yeah. I was
Why do they call it yellow peril?
because it's painted yellow and it's dangerous.
Okay. Well, Mr. Krieger, will you buy the KJP book? I don't know what that is.
Yes, I will.
What is the KJP book?
All right. We were on that just a second ago, so let's get back to that. So Karine Jean-Pierre, who was the spokesperson for the Biden administration for the last 3 years, is writing a book that's due out in October, and she announced it yesterday. The reason I'll buy the book is I want to see how much deviation there was in the Biden administration. I think there were some issues there that were not good for the Constitution. Anyway, she announced yesterday, besides publishing the book, that she'd quit the Democratic Party and was now an independent.
Well, she used to be the press secretary for Biden, right?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
I missed that part.
Press secretary,
I should
spokesperson.
have put her picture up and people would have instantly recognized her.
She's kind of cute. She'll be 51 when the book comes out. She was born in 13 August 1974. She's an immigrant. She's a frog from Martinique.
I would be careful with those words, Cliff.
You what?
We don't have to worry about that for another 12 minutes. What's a frog?
From France. The French are known colloquially as frogs
Why?
because they eat frogs' legs. And frog
Because
and
they eat
French.
frog's legs?
Yes, and French and frog both start with F. You know where Martinique is, the island?
I've probably been there.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting, that chain of islands at Cuba, then you go to Hispaniola with Haiti and Dominican Republic, and then Puerto Rico, and then it sort of drops off towards South America.
There's that KJP person. What's her
Yep.
name? Karen?
Kareem.
Corinne. She got a book out and she just left the Democratic Party.
A book coming out in October.
So are the Democrats this morning going because her pictures up there?
The new KJP, Caroline Love, that was on Howie Carr, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago, saying that it'll be interesting to read this because apparently she never even showed up to the White House until about noon or after, if she even showed up, because no one was tracking what she was doing with the president in his condition.
Yeah, that will be interesting to find out. But she led the charge against the cheap fakes, as she called the video clip showing that President Biden's stumbling around. But yeah, I'm interesting to see that. So the Boston Globe had an interesting headline. It said, since October 7, perpetrators of anti-Semitic attacks in U.S. increasingly cite Israel's war in Gaza. So go ahead and read those, and then we'll recapitulate.
Oh, I didn't know the screen was up there, sorry. I'll blow them up a little bit. Come on. Okay, how many times did you laugh when you read Jake Trapper's book? Both books will make great fire starter. Same texter continues. She was the minister of propaganda for the Biden administration. And then coming to my defense a little bit is Bart, and he says, John, I applaud your efforts to match wits with Colonel Krieger. He's a force to be reckoned with. Cliff is the smartest man I've ever met in my life, so I agree. Thank you, Bart. Back to you, Cliff.
Yeah. I'm a person who almost flunked out of elementary school.
Still the smartest. See, Cliff can process two thoughts at the same time. So while he's explaining something to you, with his other mind, he's playing chess.
As a forward air controller, it's part of the job.
You can process two thoughts at the same time. That's
I would
rare.
say more than 2. I would say 3 to 4, maybe even 5.
That's a rarity, Cliff.
So anyway, the headline on the Boston Globe since October 7, perpetrators of anti-Semitic attacks in U.S. increasingly cite Israel's war in Gaza. So October 7th wasn't Israel's war in Gaza. October 7th was Hamas's attack on Israel that killed over 1,000. There was a lot of rape. Hostages were taken, and they still haven't all been returned. And, by the way, Hamas promised to do it again and again.
This morning I'm watching Al Jazeera, and then I watched Sky News Breakfast. And Al Jazeera, they have an autopsy of these people who were gunned down recently in Gaza. They're calling it Gaza genocide, and I agree with that to a big degree. I think the liquidation of the people who live in Gaza is just a terrible thing, and I think it's really happening. But the autopsy, he's pulling bullets out of the remains, and they're bullets from the M1. And my understanding, M1 is an American weapon, and that's the weapons that the Israeli military carry. And so that's on one side of the. Then I turned the channel to the breakfast show that Sky News has, and they're interviewing a Palestinian and a Jewish guy, and an Israeli, and these are both people who live in England, and they're having a nice conversation, telling each other, "I've been hating your guts since I was a little boy." And it was so interesting to listen to them actually say that. And one said, well, it took me 8 years to stop hating the Palestinians. It took me 8 years. And the Palestinian agreed, yep, that sounds about right. About 8 years before you can stop hating the other side. And what's going on in Gaza right now, the hatred's going to be super, even if the war stops today, that hatred's going to be around for at least 8 years. And there's no, it's not going to go anywhere. Interesting to watch the international stuff. I watched on YouTube.
The M1 strikes me as not likely the standard issue weapon in Israel today. The U.S. got rid of the M1 with which we fought World War II during the Vietnam War and replaced
Well, I might be
it
remembering
with,
the wrong number, Cliff, so please don't quote me on the M1. The bullets came from what the Israelis carry, and it was an American rifle.
that'd be probably the M16.
All right, then the M16. It was bullets from an M16.
On the other hand, apparently the Israelis are giving the AK-47s to the, there's a upstart group, Abu Saba has, that is opposed to Hamas, and the Israelis are equipping them with, I think, AK-47s. And they're the ones who are being used to guard the food distribution now because Hamas used to rob the food and the medicine and the fuel. None of that was good. So So just out of curiosity, going with your genocide thing, the expression we sometimes hear is from the river to the sea.
Both sides have said that.
Actually, I haven't heard that both sides have said that, but what does that mean to you from a Palestinian point of view?
Make it one country. From the river to the sea.
You don't think it means to eliminate all the Jews?
No, you said, what does it mean to me?
Yeah,
Means to me,
And-
make it one country.
okay.
Okay, the fact that people in California, and I have a lot of really friendly undertakers I know in California, they're crazy. And they admit, we know we're crazy. And so the people in Palestine have a unique way of looking at stuff, just like the people in California have a unique way of looking at stuff. And we're not going to kick California out of the country just because they smoke potato peels. And I think that Israel, and along with the Gaza Strip, should be one country, and respect the fact that we got some people we don't like who live in different parts of this country, just like the United States of America. Thoughts?
That'd be a great solution. I don't think that the holdouts in Gaza are willing to join the 2 million Palestinians living in Israel right now. So, and we have Israel is the little Satan and the U.S. is the big Satan. And they want to globalize the Intifada. I think that we have supporters of Hamas calling for death to Israel and death to America.
Yeah, well, and there's people saying death to every place else, too. So look at Cliff, after 7, I want to talk about Father Hogan's party. He was a priest for 60 years. I went to his party over the week. I got some pictures of that. And I also want to talk about the Lowell High graduation. Tara Hung was a star of the show there. Eileen, did you see Tara speak? Maybe she can't hear me. She still there?
Eileen?
Yes, I loved it. Well, here's the thing: the PA system, the songus is so bad. So even being up close, we could not hear very good. But Tara was very clear, and he was very good.
He's coming. He's coming Monday, and I got Sock Paul Penn put on his Facebook page these pictures, and after the break, I'll put these pictures up and Father Hogan's pictures too. So that'll be after the break. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Here's a quote from the Jake Tapper book, Original Sin. After all, as one senior administration official recalled, there was a plan from day one of the administration to crack down on the southern border, to send U.S. Border Patrol agents and immigration adjudicators to deal with the undocumented immigrants, to build more facilities so they could be processed and either deported or sent to the proper place as soon as possible.
Well, Cliff,
But then that plan disappeared.
it's National Donut Day, so they think you should have a Bavarian cream. We'll be back. Thanks. Oh, Cliff,
But then that plan disappeared.
it's National Donut Day. They think you should have a Bavarian cream. We'll be back. Thanks. Oh, Cliff,
But then that plan disappeared.
it's National Donut Day. They think you should have a Bavarian cream. We'll be back. Thanks. Oh, Cliff,
But then that plan disappeared. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. My co-host is Eileen Delrossi, and she's en route right now. And our guest will be Fred Bahu, and he should be here any second. And, of course, our producer, John McDonough. I saw an announcement that Governor Maura Healey has ordered flags flown to half-staff all day tomorrow. This is in honor of Staff Sergeant Loring E. Lord of Somerville, who was in the U.S. Army Air Force, the 642nd Bombardment Squadron, 9th Air Force. He went missing on a mission to Dülmen, Germany on 21 March 1945, and they finally recovered his remains. So it's a long time. But
So she has a brain and a heart. Then that just proves that.
yes,
She has a brain and a heart, and she should be stepping up more for her state also, and the corruption that's going on.
okay.
Reading a comment from the audience, respectfully, how can anyone believe or trust what Jake Trapper says? He lied to the American people and now wants us to believe him. I'm sure a Field and Stream magazine is a better read. Interesting comment. The sky is falling.
Oh, there you are.
I get Freddie Bahu pulling in now. I'm going to go get Fred.
Okay. So we had the Tesla arson suspect. One of them was released by a judge because the suspect has ADHD, and the judge thought there was a lack of care for ADHD and also gender-affirming care, which is probably appropriate because this is Pride Month, Pride Weekend. The guy's name is Owen McIntyre, and he was.
So wait, say that again. The lack of appreciation for gender identification and ADHD.
Yeah, they said that there was a lack of care for ADHD and for gender-affirming care.
Well, all right, so I don't know much about gender affirming care, but ADHD, I think, is, it sounds like, everybody has ADHD, right? But it's so globally complex, and the way that it can affect people, that I get it. Like, people don't understand the symptoms and everything that can occur when somebody does have ADHD. And I've learned about this throughout my life because I'm diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, right? The mixed combined type. So when I was younger, I was always quiet and introverted, right? And then as I got older and I wanted to talk more and be more outgoing, it was really difficult because it's difficult to even collect your thoughts to be able to put words into a sentence. And I never realized the impact of it, honestly.
Please tell Eileen the door's ajar and close it when she comes.
Close the door when you come.
Okay, I'll be there in 2 or 3 minutes.
We have Fred Bahu here, which is good for me because I am outraged and decimated.
Make sure I'm smiling. Make sure you see my smiling. Outraged. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. It's nice and warm outside, but we've got a little sprinkle happening. The humidity is settled in, so summer is here for a minute. I guess it rains on weekends, and it's beautiful during the week. So
Fred, thanks for coming on such short notice.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
When's graduation?
Lowell High School graduation was Wednesday.
Yep.
Graduation for the adult ed program was last night for Lowell Public School, Lowell High, or Lowell Public Schools, I should say, the Abacy adult education. And then today is Greater Lowell Tech's graduation. So ultimately, everybody's sort of very, very happy this week, grabbing their certificates and their diplomas and seeing all their hard work pay off. So it's a very exciting time.
Eileen wants
Did
to
you
change
go
the
to
ticket.
the Abbasi Adult Ed graduation?
I did. I sat in the audience. I arrived about 10 or 15 minutes late. I got to see, I missed one speaker, the director of the program who started the program, as well as the mayor. And after that, I got to see all the speakers, and I got to see all the excitement in the room. And it was just a wonderful place. And it was great to be sort of in the back row and not necessarily the front row.
What's the emphasis on the adult education?
English is the second language, as well as high school diploma.
Hey, I want to hold up the parade here.
Okay?
This guy, Father John Hogan, had his 60th anniversary as a priest last sad day at St. William's Church out in Tewksbury. And let me just close this picture out. I guess I closed them all out. So put this one here up. And the church was packed. I ended up sneaking in a side door of the church, and I sat with the band and the choir. This whole church, you couldn't have, there was not another seat in the church. Magnificent event, beautiful mass. The bishop was there. Then we went on to the Knights of Columbus afterwards. And this is Father Hogan's right here. This is his sister. And Mary Hogan is her name. And no, it's it's Mary Saab, sorry. Her maiden name was Hogan. Mary Saab, and she spoke. And it was a fantastic event. We had a great time. Food was great. And I just want to congratulate my friend, Father Hogan, on your 60th anniversary as being a priest. That's a long time. And whenever you call Father Hogan, I don't care how busy he is, he'll make time. So thank God, he saved us with a lot of priests that called up and said, look at John, I got the flu this morning, I can't do the funeral service. Call Father Hogan, he said, I'll be there. Cadillac of a guy. So thanks for the airtime. Back to you, Cliff.
Sounds like a wonderful man.
He is.
And to be in the priesthood for over 60 years is quite the accomplishment. So
Yeah.
good for him. Good for him. Celebrate people like that forever.
I am thinking Eileen must be here because she just hung up. So,
Yeah, so the Abbasi program is about English as a second
Yeah.
language, as well as high school diplomas, and of course, Greater Lowell Tech is graduating tonight. So it's exciting times. It's exciting times here in the city of Lowell.
Happy Friday.
good. How many are you graduating roughly?
Lowell High graduated roughly 800, and Greater Lowell Tech is roughly 625. And then the Abbasi, the adult program, was much larger than I had anticipated. It was about 400.
Ah,
Yes, yeah, very, very big program.
I don't think people are aware of that
That's
program.
right. And I
Thank
think
you.
that's something we should all
Yeah.
raise awareness of, especially with Lowell being a sort of a city where people are just coming into the city, and sometimes they're sending their children to school,
I
but
mean, sit on the next
they
chair.
could use some refreshing or some English courses, which realistically can benefit them long
Grab
term.
that mic.
And the emotions of people
Grab
crossing
that
the
mic.
stage yesterday, and the people feeling so grateful is something that you cannot put really into words. And it's such a benefit to our community as well as to our to the adults that enter in the program. And a big shout out really to Betty McKiernan for running that program and being.
Can you guys see the rain outside? It's
Oh.
coming down pretty good.
I've never-
Gigantic drops.
I've never been so happy to see rain because these allergies have been horrible.
Looks like snow. Look at how big those raindrops are.
I welcome it all. Get the allergies out. I have one eye bigger than the other. It's been a week.
By the way, well, this is looking southerly. This is the computer place, Barclay, or whatever they call themselves. That's the computer place here. That's the Sacred Heart Church is up there. So we're looking to the south. It's coming down mighty good out there.
Did that just happen in the time that I walked in here too?
Yeah,
Because it
that's
wasn't.
live right now.
So,
It just started sprinkling as I got in here.
That ain't sprinkling, baby. That's
No,
downpour.
that's not, that's not sprinkles at all.
That's downpour. Back to you, Cliff, thanks.
so, my outrage,
Oh, Cliff's outraged.
Why? What did Fred do?
Desi.
It can't be me.
Not Fred.
It can't be me.
Desi.
Not yet.
Desi, they're trying to destroy education down there.
Oh, hold
They're
the
so
horses.
smart, they're stupid.
Hold the horses. This is wicked important. Eileen brought me the best donut in the world. This is the coconut-covered, cream-filled donut, the best donut on the planet. You can only get these at Top Donut. I have searched all up, went to Egypt looking for these donuts, they didn't have them there. France, they didn't have them there. Top Donut, the only place you can get the coconut-covered cream-filled. Give yourself a treat. It's right up there with sex, so
Ooh, jeez.
I'll tell you.
Oh,
it's
he
good
said the word. He said the word.
It's right up there. I love it.
I'm gonna shoot
Enjoy
my
that coconut-covered cream donut from Top Donut. John.
coconut-covered cream-filled donut. I'm gonna shut my mic off and enjoy this donut. Thank you,
And
Eileen.
I got Cliff his famous Bavarian cream donut, which is not really a Bavarian cream donut. It's a Boston cream donut, because that's how it gets translated when you get to Lowell, and not in
Yes.
Germany. Right?
So,
But I say it, just so you know, I say it when I go to the drive-through every time. I say Bavarian cream, and it's always a Boston cream.
so their lordships down in Boston have
Desi.
said that we ought to select students for vocational tech schools by lottery. And to me, that just says there's no reason to put in the hard work because it's not going to make any difference. It's all going to be by lottery. So the kid who's the screw off and the kid who's hard charging, they have equal chance. I mean, am I wrong here?
Well, I think it is, because that's the catch. Like, middle school, when behaviors start rearing up, that's the one thing you can hold over them. You're not going to be able to go to a Greater Lowell Voc Tech or a Greater Lawrence Voc Tech, because they look at your absences. They look at your behavior starting now, right? So, I think that's one thing that's beneficial, that they are able to be selective. And if kids want to do a vocational shop, we need to keep that.
Basically, it's the state kicking the can down the road and coming up with some plan that realistically doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, at Greater Lowell Tech, we have 2,200 seats. And if we divvy them up amongst kids that attend school or kids that chose not to attend school in junior high school, we still only have 2,200 seats. And realistically, of the kids that are going to be in the lottery, if they choose not to attend school, we will constantly, they will eventually, I don't know, maybe leave or stay at the school and maybe drop out after a little time. And then we try to backfill with other students who didn't have the learning experience of an exploratory or of the plumbing program or the cosmetology program or their nursing program that they're in. And then they're trying to learn what they're sort of behind on, and it could be realistically a year and a half of programming that they're behind on. Thirdly, and I'm sorry, is that if a student drops out in junior year or senior year, we can't backfill those seats. We need 900 hours of technical programming, and it's essentially 300 hours per year, sophomore, junior, and senior year. We need 900 hours. So if those students don't have the 900 hours, we can't backfill those seats. So if you drop out your junior seat, that seat goes, your junior year, that seat goes empty. And the state does not have enough vocational seats, So as we begin to backfill, as we can't backfill the junior and senior year seats, we're letting those seats go empty. And unfortunately, the state made a decision that truly is not benefiting the community, benefiting students, benefiting the schools, that the state is paying for. And our budget at Greater Lowell Tech is $50 million, and actually it's $60 million. It was $50 million not long ago. And how many vocational schools are there in the state? There's 27. So 60 or whatever, let's just average it out at $40 million a vocational school, and there's not enough seats. You're wasting, truthfully, billions of dollars.
So it goes back to really that everyone gets a trophy now. You even get it for the Voc Tech school, like a Voc school, right? And I mean, yesterday was such a busy day at my school because there were so many events going on. But a lot of parents were coming in for a graduation, and I was like, it must be fourth grade graduating, going up to upper school, but it was a first grade graduation. Even my seventh grader was like, Miss, I never had a first grade graduation. And I just looked at her, I'm like, everyone gets a trophy today, because there's some truth to that. Like, why are we celebrating a first grade graduation? What you got through 2 years. It's going to be a lot longer.
Well,
So anyway, Cliff, I agree with you. Yes, I'm upset with
We got
Desi
thunder.
as well.
I sent an email to my rep, Vanna Howard.
Any response?
No. Then I sent a more detailed,
They have them blocked.
do you think they have them blocked?
I definitely Lori Trahan, I think. They're like, the eagle has arrived. The eagle has arrived when they see you show up.
So I've sent her 2 emails and I haven't heard back. And you talked to the real solution. The real solution is more seats. Because I really don't know a lot about this. I wagged and said, let's create 10 more vocational schools. Actually, that'd be a lot of schools. That's a 33% increase. But pepper them around, redistribute, and don't go to building fancy schools. Put one in Chelmsford and put it in a motel. And go
Well-
out and hire retired teachers and retired people from the trades. Give them some bonuses for a couple of years until you can recruit.
What about, like, when you were just saying that, put it in Chelmsford, what about the old Radisson? There's nothing going on there. And then you have the homeless population that they've housed at the Holiday Inn next door. And you could even help them learn a vocational skill, right? As you're saying that, my brain's
Yeah.
on fire this morning.
I love it. So anyway, yes, we definitely need more seats. And what we're doing is we're limiting seats.
Rain's still coming down out there. This latest text is directed to you, Fred, and everybody
Directed?
else.
I'm scared
Where's a
now.
good
Can I
spot for
see
another? Where's another? I pressed the wrong button here. I got the wrong screens going over here. Come on, baby. Okay. Where's a good spot for another tech school? Maybe Colley Stadium area. What are your thoughts, Fred? Should there be another school?
Firstly, you know, Madison Park is trying to get a new one built for $700 million.
Where's Madison Park?
It's over in Boston.
Okay.
Over in the, I believe, the Roxbury section of Boston, but
Ooh.
$700 million. So realistically, we need to develop satellite locations. I think that would be the best, because those things can be outfitted for about $5 million. And we can put them throughout the state, satellite locations. And of course, one satellite location, and Eileen, you know, I hear you with the Radisson Hotel or the Holiday Inn, that could work. But the satellite location that I'm looking at, realistically to me, is the Walgreens on Middlesex Street that recently closed.
Oh, it's closed? I love that place.
It's a footprint that's about, I don't know, 8,000 square feet, and we could put 3 vocational programs in that very, what should I say, a newly built a building in the past 10 years. So it'd be outfitted with electricity, outfitted with
Freddie, I'm going to argue with
plumbing.
you in a couple of minutes. Why don't you guys move across the street? But I want to, Tara's Soul Paul Penn put these pictures up of Lowell High's graduation. And whatever camera he's got a beautiful camera. So that's, Tara Hung is leading the pack here. There's Danny Danny Rourke. There's himself, Freddie. Dominic. There's Eileen,
One of my eyes.
right behind Dave. Dave Conway. I think that's Jackie Doherty way back
Yeah.
there. And I can't recognize anybody else. Oh, wait a second. This is Hall, right?
James
Yeah,
Hall.
Jim
Boy,
Hall.
he's a tall dude, isn't he?
He is.
very
Yes.
Holy cow, okay. So I got more of these pictures if I can make them go sideways. Tara, I'm told, did a fantastic job. Tara's coming on Monday.
Yeah,
been
he
so
did. He spoke articulately enough that you could actually hear him. The PA system at the song is horrible. You
It was
couldn't
good.
even
Look,
really.
everybody's smiling. So here we got. I don't know who these folks here are. And
That's Mike Fiato, like closest.
this guy here.
Yep, he's the headmaster at
principal.
head principal,
Okay.
head of school at the Lowell High School. To the right, I honestly,
Megan Bronco, assistant principal at Lowell High School.
and to the back of Megan Bronco, that's O'Keefe.
Tim O'Keefe.
Timmy O'Keefe.
Over here. Okay.
Yeah, it was good
Wait,
to see him.
Timmy, is he part of the Karen Reed thing?
No, he's
Another
dad.
O'Keefe.
Donna and
Aaron's
Mickey
brother.
O'Keefe's son. I don't know the lady with the bangs, honestly, but I do know at the last is Pat Smulligan, and he is the director of discipline and operations at the high school.
This is State Rep Tara Hung. He's pontificating, and everybody's happy. Good job. So we got Danny Rourke, the mayor's right here. Liam Skinner, you've had no luck getting him on the show, Cliff.
No. Fridays are not good for him.
How about Mondays?
He said, let's get together and talk about another day, and I said
Well,
we would.
Okay, then we got Dominic, Dave Conway. You should get a hold of Dave. See if Dave wants to come on the show. I like Dave, good guy. Here's a good shot of that'll be on campaign paraphernalia next year. That's a $1 million shot. Whoever's got this camera, this guy's got a good camera. Soak Paul Penn, and there's some more of the ceremonies. Lowell High
Presentation of
School's
colors. It was
graduation.
beautiful. Great
At
event.
the Songus, they call it the Songus Arena still? That's what I'm calling it. Everybody knows what, I know. what
Songus
it's-
Center.
And look at all those caps. Beautiful stuff. Look at the decorations on this kiddos. A lot of them wrapped them up. Looks pretty.
It
They
does.
do a good job with decorating themselves.
I never would think of decorating my cap.
No.
Oh, my God.
They're very
I'd say
creative.
25, 15%, 25, 20 to 25% are decorated.
This looks like the party afterwards.
Vesna.
Yeah, Vesna's daughter graduated. She was
Oh.
on the board on the board, so she would meet us in the school committee.
student council.
Student council. She would meet us regularly. She was a very smart young lady.
Look at them. We see this money business a lot. They have a florist that will send flowers with money in them.
Oh, that's so. I didn't even realize that's what it was. That's
And a
so
lot of times
cool.
at some of the wakes that we have, they'll have a piece of flowers, 2 or 3 pieces of flowers. And the more affluent the family, the bigger the numbers. So here's another person. She's got ones, but it's a beautiful gift to give the kid.
Yeah.
That's probably $100 there.
Right.
I'd
No,
say
and,
there's more
and
than that, but yes.
I think it's the time and the thought that goes into it to making it perfect. Like that's what makes it such a special gift.
And here's just, I'm going to guess this is Saul Paul Penn's family. I don't know. So that's back to the original. So thank you for the time, Cliff. Back to you.
Okay.
Lowell High's graduation. Nicely done.
So
So yes, to answer that text, I think the Walgreens could be outfitted pretty quickly. We have the overhead doors, we have the high ceilings, so that's how I think, Texter. We sort of need more satellite locations rather than one big school, like again, Madison Park's trying to, get a $700 million approval. Whittier Tech just lost approval from there, and that's over in Haverhill. From their townspeople, they went to ballot on it, and that was, I believe, a $100 million expansion. So, the taxpayers sometimes don't want to foot the bill, and that can be an issue. But a $3 to $5 million outfit would be something that would work, would train students, as well as be minimal as far as cost goes.
right?
I like your idea even better than mine, the idea of satellites, because we need to do it quickly and we need to do it cheaply. And
And work smarter, not harder. We have empty buildings in the city. Instead of trying to rebuild or make more work, access what we do have, what we do own, and make it workable.
And the big deal, realistically, it's a sought-after education.
Right.
So, we're not only, we're prepping kids for college, but we're also prepping kids for work. So it's a sought-after education, and, the graduation rate at Lowell High School, Greater Lowell Tech, is 97, 98%, and that's the four-year graduation rate. And the graduation rate at Lowell Public is 80%, 81%. So we're losing students, and I think if we give them some hands-on training, then we're going to increase graduation rate at Lowell Public or have more vocational seats across the state because for some reason, it's more of a sought-after education.
Well, it's kids being able to work with their hands and output what they maybe can't articulate. And there's so many kids like that need to learn by doing. And to your point also, and the whole Chapter 74 funding, we need more of that, within Lowell Public, and I just think kids need to learn more by doing. We could take a lesson from the folk and how they did their process that's apparently going to be obliterated after this year. Process with attendance, behavior. It now goes to a lottery.
The state has come out with a mandate. We don't know that all the hurdles have been completed yet, but realistically, it seems like the lottery will start as of July 2026. Actually, let's do it this way, next spring.
Next.
so Joanne Jacobs, who once in a while puts out a blog post on this kind of stuff, had one about a month ago in which she asked, will we have enough job-ready workers? And she said that the need was high before Donald Trump said he was going to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. But she had a question. There was a guy, Robert Pondicio, who had an article out who said that he was concerned that high school graduates won't have the reading and math skills to succeed in the trades, that you've got to be able to read and calculate.
Well, we need to track that data better, too, and be more transparent about what's happening, because we are graduating non-readers. You hear Bob Hoey talk often about his struggles and how he would use strategies to fly under the radar. That's more rampant today than ever, but we're the fifth greatest school state. But it just doesn't make sense, because what I'm seeing does not reflect that Massachusetts educationally is this great state. It's reflecting we no longer hold students back. We don't consequence students for their own actions. And everybody is just going along to get along.
Mississippi, which used to be at the bottom, instituted that if you couldn't read at the fourth grade level, you couldn't get promoted. And now, they're one of the top readers in the country, statewide.
It speaks to programs and curriculum, and so that's a good rule, right? But I don't think that with the laws that have been passed over time that involve everyone gets a trophy type of idea, that they would be able to get away with that now. But they obviously examine their curriculum. Ooh, that was major thunder.
It was, yeah.
And I think it speaks a lot to do we have a reading curriculum that reflects our learners too? And is it appropriate for Lowell English language learners, poverty, different ends of the spectrum on demographics too? And in my experience, when like Eureka Math, like by the time you finish reading a Eureka Math problem, you're lost. Like, what? And then they want you to figure out how to solve it. Too many words. Like, how are we just going to get our kids to be able to do basic addition and subtraction? And we've added so much language that they don't know how to do it because they're still stuck on the problem.
So, go ahead.
Mr. Paradisi, the gentleman that you said,
Yeah.
are we going to be skilled with English and math at the voc schools, at the vocational schools, at the technical schools? And the answer is, they have the same criteria to graduate as a traditional public high school. So, let's be real, the students still need to learn how to read a measuring tape. The students still need to know how to do geometric shapes if they're doing carpentry or electrical or plumbing. The students still need to go ahead and participate in the exact same programming that the traditional high schools teach. And we're teaching them a vocation, which is exactly what America is lacking right now. There's not enough workers out there that have technical degrees or vocational types of programming that can put up a brick wall in Lowell, run electricity at your home, do some type of carpentry or frame homes, and all of that require math. And yes, some English, but a lot of the people that graduated Voc and, Greater Lowell Tech, we will talk about Dave Trahan, Lori's husband, who became a great developer. We'll talk about Dan Tenzar, who became a lawyer. We'll talk about Dave Murphy, who runs a very effective plumbing business. We'll talk about Scott Taft, who builds a lot of home and runs a lot of plumbing programs for the homes that Mr. Trahan is building. So ultimately, you can still run your own business, and you are well prepared with math. However, sometimes the English gets lost a little bit along the way, but truthfully speaking, we still need the same academic standards as a
Two
traditional
checks
high
I
school.
got.
When I graduated from high school, I don't remember getting a hat full of money. I'm pretty sure I got yelled at because I came home in the morning time. So who's accountable for the students not being able to read? That's the thing. The teachers, the parents, the students. We live in a society where parents are
No,
ruling.
administration. It's
And-
administration. Why do you let kids, and it's up to you. You guys are our school committee. Why do you let principals of grammar school promote fourth graders who can't read?
Because years and years and years ago,
Because
research,
that's how we do it? That's not a good
because
answer.
research came out that retention was not effective for students, that it held them back socially and emotionally.
Really, I stayed back, and when I stayed back in the second grade, and the second year, I loved it because I knew all the stuff. I was one of the smartest kids in class. I went from being the dummy to one of the smartest kids in class. I loved it. Cliff,
But-
you ever stay back? Of course not.
What are you thinking, John?
Either of you guys ever stay
I
back?
was passed on
Cliff?
probation.
Cliff advanced, he
No,
went to the
no,
head of the
Cliff,
class.
I'm sorry, Cliff. Yeah.
I was passed on
I moved
probation.
on, Cliff. I moved on. Fred, do you ever stay back?
I did not.
How
I've
about
had
you?
friends of mine that have stayed
Okay,
back.
I don't. You be on your time. Eileen, you ever stay back?
No, but
Okay.
I've seen
Talk to
parents.
people who have stayed back and ask them, how do they feel about it? And then, I can go and find whatever research I can go on the internet and find whatever research I want to find that proves that an ant is smarter than a human. I can keep looking, and if I tell my administration, this is the finding, an ant's smarter than humans, respect that, stop killing ants. And if you guys want to believe that, I think you're wrong. A fourth grader, a second grader, if you can't read, you should not be promoted.
To
You
show-
gotta stop this.
To
Trust
show
me.
you the problem about schools, our daughter, we left, she was in a Department of Defense school in Germany, and we moved to Clearwater, Florida, and she spent a year and did nothing. In fact, she would
In Clearwater?
She could read, right, Cliff?
Clearwater. She would deliberately answer questions wrong so that she didn't appear to be too smart.
Cliff,
Well-
I flunked the Keith Academy test because I didn't want to go there. Kids are kids.
Right.
If you can't read, you should not be promoted. Do you agree with that, Cliff, or you don't?
I agree with that.
But there
I
is-
did want to finish what I was saying, but
Go ahead.
so, we moved up to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and she was a year behind. She had to work to catch up, which she did.
There is a social dynamic to it. I
Yeah.
remember like certain kids being pulled out and like you just wanting to say like, I don't know this, I don't know how to do this because you want to fit in. Pushing kids along is not the right answer. I would have expected a different answer from someone who educates kids. And I'm not saying that I agree with that. I have thought about it for even my own child. And because I think that boost of confidence that John talks about does a lot more for a kid academically to be able to build their skills and confidences. Because honestly, some kids do need to be held back. Some kids do need to fail. We don't even mark our report cards in grammar schools, and I know my district, with actual grades, which I do credit the city of Lowell for having actual grades on their report cards still. To decipher the report cards that we send out in Methuen, it's S, meaning satisfactory,
Let me ask you
not
two guys
satisfactory.
this question, okay? I have a kid, can't read. Should I tell the principal I want the kid to be held back? And will the principal allow that to happen in the Lowell school system?
I've seen even parents go to bat to have their kids stay back, and it's been denied in the
That was not the
district.
question.
She just answered it.
She says it's been denied. Parents have asked and it's been denied.
Been denied. So it's administration that's pushing these kids along. Fire the administration.
So,
I would
Here's-
tell Skinner right now, you have 30 days, pack your bags. We're done.
It's so
It's a
complex.
disgrace.
Because
This is not about Skinner.
it's not about Skinner.
He's the boss.
No, it's not about the boss in Lowell.
state
It's about
law.
the boss in the state.
He's the boss.
It's law. The
Couldn't
law
care less.
trumps.
If he had the guts, he'd go against Desi, whatever the name is, take it to court, and he'd win.
no.
No judge is gonna say, oh, you gotta promote a kid even though he can't read. You have to.
I could tell you stories for days, like horrific stories.
It's wrong.
It is. I 100%
So, but-
agree, and no one's doing what's best for these kids.
I think-
I go to work and I at least get a paycheck.
So when
These
he,
But John's looking at it from the wrong angle. Teachers are ranch hands. The parents own the ranch.
Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay.
The parents are responsible for getting the product to market. So if your kid can't read and the school isn't helping, you need to reach out and see if you can hire a neighbor
Yeah.
or do some other activity, get them in a pod,
A tutoring group.
a
like-
tutoring group.
The Masons behind Cobblestones, that Masons, they have the dyslexia center after school that they teach the Orton Gillingham method, Wilson. And there's lots of options, but people are information deprived because there's not a lot of information that is accessible. And I think that's something I'm going to start to do on my website is kind of start posting resources if your child is struggling to read, and just like thinking about it, because I've always had to investigate, and then I'm like, oh, this is right in Lowell? How come I didn't know about it, or how come the school doesn't promote it? And then you have a waiting list. My son was on a waiting list for that Masons program for Orton Gillingham from first grade, and I think I finally got the call in third grade. It was two years that he was on that wait list. So we need more programs like that with certified Orton Gillingham and Wilson teachers, because that's what's helping the kids read, because the new curriculum is not helping the kids read.
and ultimately, the studies say if you are not able to read by the third grade at the comprehension expected, then the chances of you to graduate high school become very limited.
In Massachusetts, 100%.
And that's,
Everybody graduates.
And Cliff spoke about the Mississippi model that has a fourth grade standard that says, you know, we will hold you back if you cannot read to grade level. So again, this all starts at a very young age, and once you fall behind, and if you fall behind by the third grade, realistically, there is no bringing you back. So that is something that, you know, we need to speak
Freddie, you're looking at
the superintendent about.
the regional school right now.
There it is.
Now,
It's a golf course.
All right, oh, I have to go. I'm sorry. I have to go to my real job. Bye, everybody.
wave
Have a
bye
good
to
day.
everybody, and
Good seeing you. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
thanks, Eileen, have a good weekend. So, this is the regional school, Greater Lowell Regional High School is here. How many stories are these buildings?
How many what?
Stories.
Stories? 3.
They're all 3 stories high?
Yes,
Okay.
except our new modular classrooms are 2.
Okay, cool. So, looking at this project here, okay? This grounds across, is this all wetlands across the street here?
Yes, well, you know, we cannot use any other space because it's all wetlands.
So we couldn't put a parking lot over here?
It's all wetlands.
Okay, because the easy solution is, call Lori Trahan, tell her you want a gigantic garage so you can park the cars inside, and put another, double the facility and make it 6 stories high. And now all the kids go to the same facility, it is still a Voc. It's still protected by this nice perimeter you have here, and you still have the ball fields.
12 years ago, the state denied us to go ahead and expand within the building because they said there was not enough, that we were not utilizing the square footage correctly. And what that meant was our hallways were too wide, and we were not extending our classrooms out far enough. That would come from the Lowell taxpayer, because they've already paid for that building, so they will not give us money to do that. With that being the case, they said, we will not support your school to be expanded any more until you utilize your square footage correctly. Even though they approved the plans in 1969 when that building was being constructed.
The
The state gets in
Yeah.
the way, ultimately. The state gets
Yeah.
in the way in many, many different
Yeah.
ways.
don't have any data I can throw out to prove it, but I think that there should be an upper limit on how big a high school is in terms of students. And you get to that place, build another high school. Big organizations are not as good as smaller organizations in terms of motivating and meeting the needs of kids. Just my opinion.
Sure. Well, we talk about smaller class sizes, right?
Yep.
So you're talking about smaller schools where we're sort of more attached to the students.
Yeah.
Comment from the audience, the kids are allowed to be lazy and full of excuses. The kids who have parents involved in their education have better students. That's from Jay. Good point.
Sure.
Jay's right. Class size, interesting. There's a report out, Utah has the 4th best education in the country. They spend less than $11,000 per student. They have higher student-teacher ratios. What does Utah have? Higher degree of marriage.
To multiple spouses.
What?
To multiple spouses?
No. Just a higher rate of marriage, 55%.
I thought the guys out there had like many wives.
John, that was back when your grandfather was young.
But ultimately, they have a higher rate of
Now
marriage.
they're just
probably a
shacking
lesser-
up.
Probably a
Eileen-
lesser divorce rate.
Yep,
Is that fair to say?
yep.
You know, they have maybe higher income bracket, not entirely sure, but more education. And with more education becomes standards in your household.
Yep.
In places that are gateway cities, and places like Lowell, Massachusetts, and there's a lot of Lowell, Massachusetts, here in the state of Massachusetts. There's a Lowell, there's a Lawrence, there's a Fall River, there's a Brockton. And ultimately, a lot of the parents don't speak English as a first language. A lot of the parents aren't educated. A lot of the parents, there are no two-parent households.
So this is from Eileen Delrossi, who just left. Tell everyone to be careful. The rains are wicked out here. Fred, guy by name of Joe Machado, retired state trooper, told me a story about when he was a trooper. He'd pull a guy over and the guy, hey, no comprende, I don't speak. And he'd look him square in the eye and say, I just want to tell you that the muffler's hanging down in your car and it's sparking on the ground and you got to be careful. It might set the car on fire. Immediately, the driver of the vehicle jump out of the car and look underneath the car. And then Joe would say, now that we've established you can understand me, I pulled you over for speeding. Very effective.
Sure.
People want to speak English when they want to speak English. When they want to be, I don't want to have to participate in this conversation. I don't understand anything you're saying.
Sure. And that's a common approach. And I understand what you're saying, John, but, again,
It's,
two-parent households in Utah, single-parent households in Lowell, and realistically, education, a lot of the time, may not be the priority.
but when you look at students on what I call the non-academic indicators, tardy, truancy, dropout, did they bother going to college? The best in Lowell are the Asian Americans, followed by blacks, followed by Caucasians, followed by Hispanics. Now, the Asian Americans are probably have
About
actually-
a 95% graduation rate.
Yeah.
Two parents in the
And the
house.
blacks, and the
And-
blacks are in the same category,
Yeah.
very high. The Hispanics and the whites in Lowell are about 70% graduation rate
The
at Lowell
Asians-
High School.
The Asians, both parents are in the house, and often one or two grandmothers are in the same house.
So they probably absorbed
It's quite the support system.
accidentally the Amy Chow fellow him of the Tiger Mom approach to educating kids. My wife said to me a decade ago, from wandering around the post office, because we have a post office box, so we have to go in to pick it up. She says, you see the Asian mothers talking to their children, they speak English. You see the Hispanic mothers talking to their children, they speak Spanish. There's a big difference there, and a consequential difference, I think. I just wanted to wrap up the issue on vocational. Deloitte came out with a forecast in 2024 before the election, said we're going to need 3.8 million additional skilled manufacturing employees by 2033. It's all on you, Fred.
Yes, and it's all realistically on vocational programming. It will make a huge difference if the state could support us and, not start with this lottery, because this lottery is going to be detrimental to vocational schools across the state of Massachusetts. And ultimately, when I stated, they're kicking the can down the road, they're not giving us any more seats. And with the graduation rate that is, truthfully, and I looked up graduation rates on vocational schools across the state, Lynn Tech, Monty Tech, Greater Lawrence Tech, Greater Lowell Tech, and I must have looked, Worcester Tech. I've looked at, just recently, just this past week, and the graduation rate are all well above 95%. All of them. And then I looked at their traditional high schools, and their high schools are on the lower side. On that where Lowell is, 80%. So vocational education works. We're preparing students for manufacturing jobs, for all types of jobs. And the state is watering down what the vocational education program is all about. And realistically, with a lottery, means that seats are going to not only go unfilled, but graduation rates are going to be lowered. So it's pretty sad that the state really does not want to invest in vocational schools. They just think that they can, say we're going to start something that's a little bit more equitable.
Gee, I'm glad you came in, because I thought this was only going to be a little blip of discussion. But,
I've been doing this for 14 years, and I still haven't graduated Greater Lowell Tech, so, so we'll see how that works out. But I have enough knowledge and enough inner
Yeah.
workings in vocational schools. And don't forget, I'm trying to start
Yeah.
vocational programming in Lowell
Yes.
public schools. I really think Middlesex should be able to use Greater Lowell Tech to begin to use our training facilities to start vocational programming of their own and not have to spend state dollars to develop a program at the community colleges across the state. So there are a lot of avenues. There are avenues that we can take within the state, and unfortunately, DESE, the administration is looking at it in a very different lens that's not beneficial to vocational programming.
so, hey, I want to change, because I want to dump on Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. They're suing the Trump administration over an order targeting illegal immigrant voting. So Trump says no illegal immigrant voting, and Schumer and Jeffries have sued. They want illegals to vote. That doesn't make sense. The Democrats allege it's unconstitutional to order that. And then it says,
It's all about tipping the scales towards your party, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't, Chuck Schumer a Democrat, and I don't know if Hakeem Jeffries is a Democrat.
oh, he's a Democrat.
And this is not about Democrats and Republicans. This is about, becoming citizens in the United States and earning your right to vote.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what this would do is it would take the, immigrants, the illegals, I don't want to say immigrants, my parents were immigrants, the illegals, and give them a right that realistically is skewed by the payouts that people receive, and will help skew elections that is truthfully unfair. And I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably shouldn't have said that.
I'm probably showing my dotage, because I was getting a blood test yesterday, and as I usually do, I asked the person taking my blood, "Are you registered to vote?" And she says, "Yes, I am." And you've asked me that before.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, the turnout in Tewksbury of 8% for the election.
And one person lost by 3 votes, right?
Yeah.
A selectman lost by 3 votes, and there was only 8% of the people that turned out. In local politics, local elections are the most important elections that affect you. The national picture is, something way out there, but the local officials you see on local programs, you see in the supermarket, you see in your neighborhoods, you hear on the radio, they're at events that you're attending. And you can talk to them directly about your schools, about your city, about your tax rate, about your home assessments. You can talk to them directly, and they can bring the conversation directly to your city manager, to your mayor, to your chairman, to your superintendent. It makes such a big difference, and only 8% of the people are heard.
Tingsboro, 3% for the recent election. That's just awful.
Pathetic is what it is. It's very sad.
Yes, it is.
But again, nobody runs. Nobody runs, and people, truthfully, when you hear about it, you're just a politician. I don't think that I'm a politician, but that's how I'm sort of labeled. But realistically, they feel like they're not being heard, and truthfully, they may not be being heard. Because when I go campaigning, I target voters. I don't target everybody, because I'm able to try to pull up that type of.
Hang on Monday City Life, Cliff's gonna be here. Cliff Krieger. Eileen Delrossi will be back through neck and bang. He'll be on Zoom. Mike Smith will be on Zoom. John Curtis is going to be here in person. And Tara Hung, State Rep Tara Hung, he's coming in at 7. And a text just came in, if the Democrats aren't cheating, then they aren't trying. Great show today. That's from Jay. Back to you guys. Time is short.
Fred, do you want to wrap it up in any way? Got any topic I didn't bring up?
Well, the good news is I'm back on next Friday. So ultimately, I'm sure we can cover some more topics. You know, you guys run a great program. Thank you for doing what you do. I like to think the school systems are progressing. I work hard on both committees, but there's always more to learn, always more to gain in information that can be beneficial to our community. And realistically, if you don't educate a student, or if a student is not educated, it becomes detrimental to that person as well to society. So the goal is to realistically educate and have enough seats and always promote education, as was promoted yesterday with the Abbasi adult education graduation. We were educating parents of students that attend Lowell schools. So it's a big deal.
So are you an at-large school member in Lowell?
I am not. I am in District 1, so which is the compromises of the high school, of the Highlands as well as Pawtucketville.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a regional member, but realistically, all members have the same value in their vote. And I've run citywide before. It's a big city out there. So if I could run in the region and be elected and let work on behalf of the whole school system, and realistically let my region know that I'm working on behalf of them, hopefully I can get reelected.
Say goodbye, boys. It's the 25th birthday for Kilkenny's Pub. Take a pop in there today, get a nice lunch. Congratulations. Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.